1. Introduction. My name is Tina. I am 22 years old. I am a student at the university. I study business. My life is very busy. I must balance my studies and my job. I work part-time in a big law office. I help by filing many papers. My parents are very traditional. They have many strict rules for me. They think I am still a small child. They call me all the time. They check on me every hour. This makes me tired. I must be home early every evening. My curfew is 8 o'clock. If I am late, they are very angry. My boss at the law firm is Robert. He is a famous lawyer in the city. Robert is 42 years old. He is a tall man. He always wears very expensive suits. He looks important and powerful. When I first started working there, I was afraid of Robert. He seemed very cold. He was always serious. He never smiled. He often shouted orders to the staff. He stayed on his phone all day long. I thought he did not see me. I was just the quiet student who served coffee and filed papers. I tried to stay far away from Robert's office. His presence made me nervous. I felt small when I was near him. He was like a big storm cloud in the office. I wanted to do my work perfectly so he would not notice me. If he looked at me, my hands started to shake. I needed this job to pay for my university studies. I knew I must follow all the rules at work and at home. My life was divided into two very strict parts: the law firm and my parents' house. 2. The change. The office was very empty. I stayed late to finish a necessary report. I looked outside the window. It was dark and the rain was very heavy. A big storm was happening outside. I felt worried because I checked the time. It was past my curfew and I missed the last bus. My parents would call soon. I felt anxious thinking about their strict rules. Suddenly, I heard a door open. Robert, my boss, came out of his large office. He stopped when he saw me standing alone. I thought he would ignore me like always, but he looked at me carefully. I felt nervous under his gaze. He spoke, but his voice was not the usual serious tone. It was quiet and kind. "Tina," he said, "the weather is very bad. Do not wait for a taxi. I can drive you home now." I was shocked by his offer. Robert always seemed cold, but tonight he was different. I wanted to refuse because he was my boss, but I was scared of the storm and my parents' anger. I agreed quickly. We walked together to his expensive black car. The rain was loud on the roof of the car. We started driving through the city streets. I expected the drive to be silent and tense, but it was not. Robert started talking. He asked me about my studies at university. He asked what I wanted to do after graduation. I told him about my dreams. He listened carefully to every word. He told a funny story about a court case he won last year. I laughed. I saw a new side of Robert. He was not just the famous, strict lawyer I knew from the office. He was intelligent, and he had a great sense of humor. He was charismatic. I looked at his hands on the steering wheel. They were strong. The fear I always felt around him disappeared slowly. I realized he was a good person. I liked talking to him very much. For the first time, I felt a new, warm feeling in my heart. It was attraction. I looked at him and thought, this is a big change. This car ride was the start of something new and unexpected. I knew my life would be different now. I felt excited and nervous about this new feeling for my boss. I hoped the drive would never end. 3 secret dates. After Robert drove me home, everything changed at the office. The atmosphere felt new and exciting. When I saw Robert, I felt very happy. He looked at me often. His eyes were warm now, not cold like before. This new feeling between us was our special secret. We had to be very careful at work. When Robert walked by my desk, he often stopped. Sometimes, he asked me a short question about the files I was working on. But his true message was in his touch. He would touch my hand gently when he handed me a document. These small touches made me feel a strong electricity. We shared many quick, secret smiles across the big room. We knew we could not talk about our feelings at work. Robert was the boss, the famous lawyer, and I was just the quiet student. One afternoon, Robert sent me a text message. He asked me to go on a date with him outside of the office. I said yes immediately. I wanted to be with him very much, but I knew I could not tell my parents the truth. My mother and father are very strict about my time. I had to create a plan. I told them that I needed to study late for my university classes. I said I was going to the university library with a friend to finish a big project. This was a very big lie, but I had to see him. Robert picked me up far away from my house. He wanted to make sure my parents did not see his expensive car. He took me to a beautiful and very nice restaurant. The food was expensive and delicious. We drank red wine and laughed for hours. We talked about everything. We talked about my university studies and my dreams for the future. Robert listened carefully to all my answers. He told me that I was a special woman. He said he liked my energy and my smile very much. Time went by very quickly. It felt like only 10 minutes, but it was hours. When the night ended, Robert drove me back to the secret spot near my house. Before I opened the car door to leave, he reached for me. He pulled me close to him. We shared our first kiss. It was a long kiss. It was passionate and strong. My heart beat so fast inside my chest. I felt excited and a little scared. I knew this relationship was dangerous because of my parents, but I did not want it to stop. I smiled and quickly went inside my house just before my curfew. 4. The red car. Robert liked giving Tina many expensive gifts. He bought her beautiful jewelry and expensive clothes. Tina had to hide all these items carefully. She put them at the bottom of her large closet under old blankets. She did this so her mother would not find them. If her mother found the nice necklaces or the soft dresses, she would surely ask many difficult questions. Tina felt a little guilty about keeping these secrets from her family, but she loved the feeling of being spoiled by Robert. She liked the pretty things he gave her very much. Then, Tina's birthday came. Robert planned a huge surprise for her. He wanted to give her a very big gift. He bought her a brand new car. It was a beautiful, shiny red color. Tina saw the car and she felt total shock. She knew immediately that this was a gift that was too big to hide. This was a gift that could ruin her secret life. "Robert, I cannot take this car," she told him quickly. "This is too much. If my parents see this red car, they will know everything about us. They will be very furious with me, and they will never forgive me." Robert held her face gently in his hands. He looked deep into her eyes. He told her that he wanted her to be safe when she drove alone in the city at night. He wanted her to feel independent and free from the bus schedule. He said the car was hers, and she deserved the best things in life. Because Tina loved Robert very much, she finally agreed to take the amazing gift. However, she was extremely scared about the danger this car created. A bright red car is impossible to hide in a small neighborhood. Tina had to be very careful about where she kept it. She decided she must park the car far away from her family home. She found a secret parking spot. The spot was 3 long streets away from her house. Every day, the size of the lie grew bigger and heavier. Tina walked to the secret spot every morning to drive the car to the university or to work. She felt like a spy. When she came home from the office, she parked the car far away and hurried back to her house so she would not miss her curfew. She felt guilty because she was hiding so much from her parents. But when she sat in the new red car, driving fast through the city streets, she felt like a special person. Robert treated her like a princess, and she loved this new, dangerous, and secret life. 5. Office love. My feelings for Robert became very strong. Our relationship grew quickly, day after day. I loved seeing him every day at the law office. When I was with him, I felt like a woman, not a young student. I was 22 years old, but my parents still treated me like a child who needed many rules. Robert treated me like an adult. He respected my opinions and encouraged my studies. This contrast between my 2 lives was important to me and made me want to be with him more. The office was a place of work, but for us, it was also a place for secret love. The tension between us was very high every day. Sometimes, Robert would call me into his large, beautiful office. When I walked in, he always closed the heavy door quietly. Then, he walked to the large windows that looked out over the city and pulled the thick blinds shut. The office became dark and private, perfect for keeping our secret safe. Inside, we forgot about filing papers and answering phone calls. We did not speak about legal work or clients. He would stand close to me, sometimes holding my hand across the desk. Then he pulled me into his arms. We shared long, passionate kisses that made my heart beat fast. Sometimes I felt breathless from the intensity. Being with Robert made me feel beautiful and self-assured. He told me I was intelligent and special. He listened carefully to all my thoughts and my dreams about finishing university. We connected on a deep level. I knew he was 42 years old, 20 years older than me, but age did not matter when we were alone. He was a famous lawyer, and he was my boss, but I only saw the man I loved. I wanted to be with Robert all the time, completely forgetting my strict life at home. But I could not forget the danger. Every time we were together, I had to watch the time very carefully. I always checked my watch constantly, knowing I had to leave the office long before my parents called or before the 8 o'clock curfew. This fear of my parents was constant. It was like a dark shadow following me everywhere I went. I knew if they discovered the truth about the kisses, the expensive gifts, and the closed office blinds, they would be extremely furious. I knew the consequences would be terrible, but I could not stop loving him. The risk was great, but the love was stronger. I needed to be very careful to protect our secret. 6. The weekend. My parents left the house on Friday morning. They went to visit my aunt who lived in another city. They would stay away for the whole weekend. This was a very rare thing. I told my parents I needed to stay home to study for my important university exams. This was a big lie. This was my perfect chance to be with Robert without any fear. I waited until their car was completely out of sight. I felt a rush of freedom. I took a shower and put on a beautiful new dress that Robert had bought for me. I drove my new red car quickly through the city streets. I felt like a grown-up driving alone to meet my secret love. It took about 30 minutes to reach Robert's apartment building. It was one of the tallest buildings in the city. I went up in the fast elevator to the top floor. Robert lived in a penthouse. When I walked inside, the apartment was amazing. It was luxurious and big. Expensive paintings hung on the walls. The windows were huge, showing the sparkling city lights below. I walked to the window and looked down at the tiny cars. I felt excited, but also very nervous. Robert came to me and hugged me gently. He could feel my heart beating fast. I told him I was nervous because I was a virgin. I had never spent the night with a man before. He kissed my forehead and promised to be patient and kind. He was very gentle with me. He made a wonderful dinner for us. We ate at a small table next to the window. We drank some wine and laughed. We did not talk about the office or my strict parents. We only talked about how much we loved being together. After dinner, Robert put on some slow, classical music. He asked me to dance. I put my arms around his neck, and we moved slowly across the living room floor. All the fear and worry I usually carried disappeared. We talked for hours about our future together. He told me he loved me many times. Later, he took my hand and led me to the large, comfortable bedroom. The room was quiet and warm. We spent the night together. It was a beautiful and special experience for me. Robert was loving and patient, just as he promised. I woke up the next morning in his arms. The sunlight filled the room. I lay on his chest and felt completely safe and happy. I realized that I was 22 years old and I was finally making my own choices. I was not the little girl under my parents' rules anymore. I was a woman. I gave him my heart completely that night. This weekend was the start of my new, free life. I hoped this perfect feeling would last forever. 7. The truth. I left Robert's apartment early the next morning. I felt happy but very tired. I drove my red car back towards my street. The sun was shining. I was thinking about the wonderful night we shared. I looked at the time. It was still early. I needed to get inside before anyone saw me. Suddenly, my phone rang loudly. It was my mother. My heart jumped in fear. "We are coming home now," she said quickly. We left Aunt Sophia's house early. Panic filled my chest. They were not supposed to be home until Sunday evening. I quickly turned the car onto a small side street. I drove 2 blocks away from my house. I parked the shiny red car behind some big trees. I jumped out and locked the door. I ran as fast as I could back to my street. I tried to look normal, but I was breathing hard. I opened the front door quietly. My parents were already inside the kitchen. My mother turned and looked at me. Her eyes were narrow and suspicious. "Where were you, Tina?" she asked. Her voice was cold. I tried to smile, but my cheeks felt hot. "I was just taking a walk," I lied quickly. "I woke up early." My mother stepped closer to me. She looked at my clothes. She looked at my hair. "You look different, Tina," she said. "Your cheeks are very pink. Why are you wearing that necklace?" I touched Robert's small silver necklace quickly. I forgot to take it off. The lie felt heavy like a big stone in my stomach. I was living 2 lives, and it was too much stress. I realized I could not hide the truth anymore. I loved Robert. I loved my parents, but I needed to be honest. I took a deep breath. "Mother," I started, "I need to tell you something important. I have a boyfriend. His name is Robert." I told her everything about the secret dates, the car, and the weekend we spent together. My mother's face became very red. She started shouting very loudly. She threw a plate on the floor. It broke into many small pieces. My mother pointed strongly at the door. "Get out of this house, Tina. Now you have brought shame to us. Do not come back here." Her words cut me deep. I felt tears start, but I did not cry. I turned and ran out the door. I ran away to find Robert. 8. My new life. I ran away from my house. I was very sad and my heart hurt. I went quickly to the cafe to meet Robert. He was waiting for me at a small table. When he saw me, he stood up and held me tight. I was shaking when I sat down. I told him everything. I told him about my mother's anger and the shouting. I told him she said I could not return home. I felt very scared about the future. Robert took both of my hands. He looked seriously into my eyes. "Tina, you do not need to worry," he said. "I will always be here for you. We will take everything slowly, but I promise I will support you." He told me that he loved me very much. His words were strong and made me feel safe. He was my rock, and I knew I had made the right choice. In that moment, I understood something important. I am 22 years old. I am an adult now. I cannot live my life just to please my parents. I had been living a double life for many months, full of secrets and fear. Now that life was finished. I had to make my own choices. I chose Robert and I chose love. I chose independence over living in fear. Robert helped me find a small apartment. It was near the university, so I could still finish my studies. I continued working at the law firm, but now I did not have to hide my feelings for my boss. I was happy to see him every day, and I drove my red car freely. I knew my parents were very angry now. I knew it would take time. Maybe one day they will understand why I needed to grow up. I hope they will forgive me. Until then, I am living my own life. Robert taught me about love, but he also taught me about confidence. I am not afraid anymore. I have my love, I have my car, and I have a future that I chose. This was my new life, and it felt free.